Have you ever felt like where you are in life currently doesn't make sense? Like you're waiting for your why. You're waiting to understand why God placed you in certain seasons with certain people and certain battles. Esther felt the same way. Esther was an orphan girl who found herself in a palace she never asked for. But God had a plan. This is a story about how a woman with quiet strength and deep faith saved an entire nation because she was born for such a time as this. Let's get into the story. Esther's story began in Persia. She was a young Jewish girl raised by her cousin Mordecai after her parents had died. At this time, King Xerxes had dismissed his queen, Vashti, and began looking for a new queen. Beautiful women from all over the kingdom were brought to the palace for a royal beauty contest, and Esther was among them. But here's what makes Esther special. She didn't just have her own beauty, she had inner grace. She carried wisdom and humility and a quiet confidence that caught the king's attention. Out of all the beautiful women there, the king chose Esther to be his queen. But no one knew her secret. She was a Jewish woman, a part of God's chosen people. Sometimes God will place you in rooms where you don't fit in, but to stand out when the time is right. But then came a man named Haman. Haman, an advisor to the king and filled with pride and hatred. He despised Mordecai because Mordecai refused to bow to him. And in his anger, Haman came up with an evil plan. And that plan was to destroy all the Jews throughout the empire. When Mordecai heard about this plan, he tore his clothes and he wept before God. Then he sent the word out to Esther in the palace. Don't think that because you're alone in the king's house, that you alone will escape. If you remain silent, deliverance will come from somewhere else. Who would have known that you would come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Those words hit Esther deep. She knew that her position wasn't about just comfort and luxury. It was about purpose. Esther sent a message back. Go and gather all the Jews and fast for me for 3 days. Do not eat or drink anything. Then I will go to the king, even though it's against the law. And if I perish, I perish. Those are not words of fear. They were words of faith. Esther understood that obedience sometimes meant taking a risk. Courage is an absence of fear. It's faith in action. After 3 days of fasting and prayer, she approached the king's throne. If the king didn't extend his golden scepter, she would be killed instantly. But when he saw Esther standing there, she found favor in his eyes. What is your request, Queen Esther? Even up to half the kingdom, it will be given to you. Esther invited the king and Haman to a banquet, not once, but twice. She used wisdom and patience. She waited for God's perfect moment. At the second banquet, she finally revealed her truth. My king, there is a man who seeks to destroy me and my people. The king asked, who is he? And Esther said, the adversary is Haman. The room fell silent. The king was furious. That same night, Haman was punished, and the Jews were saved. Because Esther dared to speak up, an entire nation was delivered. God turned her pain into power. He turned her position into purpose. Maybe you're in a season where you don't quite understand why God placed you where you are. You might feel overlooked or afraid, like Esther. Esther's story reminds you, you are not where you are by accident. You are positioned there on purpose. God can use your voice, your influence, and your story to set someone else free. You might not wear a crown, but you are still royalty in the kingdom of God. You are kings and queens. Remember, like and subscribe and leave a comment. And I'll be back tomorrow with another video.